Hello and welcome to the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast. It is great to have you with us again for another week. Last week's solo podcast by me was, well, let's say hopefully well received, but due to a little bit of feedback, I thought I might grab a fill-in host for this week's one while Meg is away. She's away for another 3 weeks in Ireland. Meg will come back. She has promised me that. She didn't hate working with me that much in week one that she never wants to come back. She is going to come back. But in the meantime, I thought, who could we get who everybody, all our wonderful listeners would love hearing from? And we went to the absolute top of the wish list and managed to land him somehow. I don't know. We must have had something on him or some favours owed or whatever it might be. It is
a bit of everything, to be honest, Ling. And it's good to be here. Obviously, watching on from a little bit afar now, intrigued with how the boys are going. And I can say, Meg, that I'm just sitting here for a short time. Okay, you're coming back and you're much more classy than what I am. So the listeners are looking forward to you coming back.
That voice, of course, not that anyone wouldn't be able to pick that voice, but it is the... It is so good to see you. I want to get to the Blues game. I want to look ahead to the Suns game. I want to get to some fan questions as well. We've got a heap of questions come in from our wonderful listeners. Before we do, a couple of quick little ones. First of all, how's Britt and Joey going?
They're good. No, they're both going well. It's, what are we, nearly 5 weeks in now. Learning every day. As I said when I was a footballer, you're always learning on the job, but this is a different sort of learning. He's been, we've wanted to be parents for a long time, so loving having him around. Britt's doing a great job, and Dad is filling in where he needs to. So similar to what I'm doing today.
Sleeping,
but I do have an appreciation for what the boys with kids have done in the past, my ex-teammates, in how they're able to fit it all in, because there's definitely a baby clock that I've learned to get to. I mean, I'm good at getting tired now, and I've never had that ability, so you can continually get good at doing things.
It's amazing how well you can still operate despite sleep deprivation, and just keep telling yourself, stay calm.
Well,
stay calm.
You know what? Let's see, because I've got, what have we got, 35 minutes here, 40 minutes? Maybe you be the boss of this. You be the judge of it after this 35 minutes, whether I've done a good job or not.
I'm sure you will have done a magnificent job. One more question about what you're up to before we get to the footy. How's the Melbourne Storm stuff going? How's everything else that you're doing post-football life?
Yeah, well, I've got a bit on, but it's all been great, building, the next stage of life. And for a long period of time, I probably thought maybe football might be the only thing that I'd be really good at. But now I'm sort of getting a hungriness of trying to work out what is next and not just be good at it, try and be really good at it. So doing a little bit of leadership consultant stuff down with the Storm and helping out a little bit with their operations, throwing up a few ideas. And loving that. Great group of guys, a young group coming through. So it was a good time to join in with them and try and make them try and do things a little bit different, and also build on what the Melbourne Storm can be. And then from there, I'm going to come back here and work a little bit with the commercial team, within membership, with the stakeholders.
That brought a big smile to my face, hearing that news.
But I do need to stay away from the boys in saying that. When signing up to the role, and Hock had been talking to me for quite a while, but I said I need to give them space to do it their way, and they'll do a great job. I've got great belief in Paddy and Stewie leading them this year, and there's a big group. There's a big group of them that are going to come along for that ride and help those boys out. So I look forward to that.
It's a really sensible decision you've made, and I'm not surprised by that. You make sensible decisions all the time. But I found, and you'd recall this, I came back, I think I did 1 day a week at North Melbourne for a year to experience another club in the leadership consulting role, and enjoyed that and enjoyed seeing what was over the fence. And then came back here for a year doing 1 day a week, working with yourself and the other guys in the leadership group. I found that really difficult and really at times frustrating, not because of what we were working, what we were doing, but I didn't feel like I was helping much. I and then I felt like I wanted to do more, but I couldn't do more because I had all these other things. And just that, it was almost too still close to yourself. And James Kelly was still playing. I think Stevie J was still playing, and Jimmy was still playing. And these guys I'd been right through, almost just giving that little buffer of removing yourself from the guys for a few years is really important.
Yeah, well, and whether it's right or not, I'm not sure. But it's one that is going to be completely different to you back then and now me. But the easiest way to do it was to pull up the shorts, pull the socks on, and pull that jumper over and go out and do it on the field. And trying to work out how you can best do it whilst being off the field only now is a challenge going forward. And yeah, testing those waters at Melbourne Storm, and hopefully they're learning a little bit of the leadership way that I'm bringing into them, but also knowing that I'm not going to do it perfect, and that's okay. And to be kind to myself throughout this period, it's an important stage because I definitely offer something. It's just what they need to take out of it. And to be honest, I'm still an ear to these boys back here because I've got so much care for them. And the way that we obviously left last year, this club obviously has meant so much to me for a long period of time, but they're good friends, and they'll get through this little period that they're in right now.
Well, speaking of that little period, let's get to the footy. 0-2 to start the season. Obviously, this is an understatement, not exactly the way that the team wanted to start. Some good football against Collingwood week 1, and then we saw on Thursday night against the Blues a team that was probably comfortably outplayed there for 2 and a bit, maybe 3/4, but then showed some signs with the comeback and the character to really push the Blues, and maybe late could have pinched it. But Carlton ultimately get the win, 8-point victory over the Cats. How did you see it on Thursday night?
Yeah, well, it's been a really sort of tough start to the year for the boys. Obviously, a lot of injuries within the side. Where we need them to get to is just keep building on their game, because it wasn't going to be perfect at the start of the year. I don't buy into the hangover. I don't buy into the non-effort, because every time you go out there and pull it on, I know for sure that whichever team you play for, you are literally giving your heart and soul for whatever club you're playing for.
And no, I don't think that. I think you're absolutely spot on. The effort thing's not questioned. Down back at times, minus Tom Stewart, minus Jack Henry, just with. And Collingwood and Carlton did it, where they're really rushing numbers forward, a little bit of disorganisation at times. But then I thought Sam De Koning was superb on Thursday night, and again stood up. Big Sav had his hands full with Charlie Curnow, but when the ball's flying down there, who wouldn't have their hands full with Curnow? So I think from that perspective, and Chris Scott actually alluded to it a little bit, the middle of the ground is still a work in progress and finding their feet. I think Chris Scott said we were average early and good late in the middle of the ground, and finding that exact makeup, and the idea that Tanner Bruin's just going to come in and be terrific from day one is not right. He's going to find he's 20, he's played 30 games of footy. He'll find the rhythm of the team. I thought Max Holmes was really good again. Paddy's building into the year. You can see that. Cam Guthrie got better as the game wore on. Mitch Duncan's still to come back into that middle part of the ground. So just getting that group where it needs to be is probably the challenge going into this week.
Oh, no doubt. And we miss Collar being down back too. So there's another clog in that back line that obviously helps it out. Throughout the midfield, the boys would like to be playing better. But we could probably say that across the ground a little bit. And this is not hard on them, but they're all probably staring at the roof after the game and thinking, oh, God, I wish I could have done more. And they're all sitting in that boat, and, we've both been there, that you have that loss and you get that reality check to go, okay, how am I going to make this better? And you look at yourself first. And that's the best thing about these boys. They would have come in Monday to strive to get everything right against the Gold Coast. But it is round 3. There's a lot to build on. You talk about those new faces. I mean, I actually really liked what Jack Bowes put out there the other night.
Yes, agree.
I loved what Tanner's been doing. He's shown us some real good glimpses and some good speed around the ball. Some of his stoppage work has been exceptional, I reckon. But finding the time for these boys to get involved, it's not going to click all straight away.
And we saw, say, Tom Atkins have that superb season last year with the move into the midfield, and then felt like as the game progressed, he got better and back to what he does really well in the middle of the ground. I think he ended up with 12 tackles. Last quarter was going to Paddy Cripps, kept Cripps to, I think, 3 touches in the last quarter, and the game shifts off the back of that. So him finding what he does so well within that midfield group like he did last year was there. And so the steps were there. I know the results aren't flowing, and Geelong fans listening right now are like, hang on a second, we still want to win. Yep. Absolutely, but it's the way the team is playing and the way the team is progressing is really important. I can still remember you and I had a conversation, would it be 3 years ago now? I've lost track of time of how long Jeremy Cameron's been at the club. Yep. And you said to me, you've never seen a more phenomenal athlete. And I said, hang on a second, mate, you played with some of the all-time greats, but you just said as an athlete and what he could do, his combination of speed, agility, endurance, height, everything.
Yep.
We saw it in full flight on Thursday night.
We've seen it a few times. I mean, we shouldn't play this down, but to be honest, he is exceptional. And we're very lucky with what he can do. We don't want to rely on that we get to a stage where we have to go get Jeremy into sort of Superman territory and he has to do it all himself. But what he did, he reminded me of Mario Kart when you hit the star and he was just bolting through on the weekend and we just had to get him the ball. And to be honest, and the boys felt it and they were trying to get it to him. Hawk 45 out on a tough angle, gives it to Jeremy to turn around and snap on his left. There was one time where someone was on the 50 and Jeremy was running past, and it was probably not a handball you do, but because it's Jeremy, you give it. It reminded me of Gaz back in the day a little bit. You would just find places on the ground just to get them the ball because they'll make the right decision.
I'm allowed to say this now because I'm an old has-been, and it's all right for me to make ridiculous statements. Yep. He's the best player in the competition right now for me. With what he can do deep and dangerous, what he can do across half forward / centre half forward, what he can do in the midfield. The crazy thing was he had 25 touches on Thursday night. He had 6 inside 50s.
Yeah.
So he's also kicked 6 goals. Yep. So often now key forwards, if they have a really, really good game, they kick 6 goals from 8 or 10 touches and might have 1 inside 50. He was doing it everywhere across the ground. And as you said, this isn't the first time he's done it. It's not a one-hit wonder. He's done it multiple times, Last year he was just unbelievable. I believe he's the best player in the competition right now, which I was talking about this on the weekend. Almost there's been a vacated title. Dusty Martin held that title for a number of years. There's a group of about 10 or so, and that includes, Marcus Bontempelli and all of these incredible players, Clayton Oliver, whoever it might be, who are vying for that so-called title. Yep. I think right now Jeremy Cameron's got the title belt around his waist. He's the best.
Yeah, and there's part of it that I think he doesn't really care about it, to be honest. I think that he just loves playing footy. He loves playing in front of the big crowds. He wants to put on a great show. The one thing about Jeremy too, he had 26 touches, I think, on the weekend. 20 of them would have been kicks. And these aren't short kicks that he's doing. So he's actually kicking the ball out of his area and somehow finding himself in an area on the ground again to make a big play. So exceptional when you can do it like that. It means you're reading the game exceptionally well. And to be honest, I think that off the work that he's done in the preseason again, and we've seen him joke around a fair bit, but he was keen to come back and build again, which is what we brought him to the club for. We knew that he was a different cat. We loved that about him, but he's going to drive this side for many years to come.
Very, very exciting. Let's look ahead to this week's clash against the Gold Coast Suns. Super important game for both teams. The Suns haven't started the year the way they wanted to, and obviously the Cats haven't from a win-loss perspective. So it becomes a massive one up at Metricon Stadium on the Gold Coast. A couple of sore bodies now. I mean, Tom Stewart's still going to miss and continue. My understanding is Mitch Duncan won't play this week, but he's getting very close to play. Jeremy Cameron was one who we all had our heart in our mouth when he looked sore.
Yep.
Hopefully he's right. Sam de Koning was a little bit sore as well. Reece Stanley copped one in the ribs. So the ability after 2 losses to then go interstate with key players banged up early in the season, it's going to be a great challenge for the group.
Well, what plays in our favour, I think, is a 9-day break from the week before. And to be honest, if there's a good time to go away, it is now, and up to the Gold Coast. And we spent a great time up there in 2020. We've enjoyed being up there in the past and playing on the ground. So for the boys to sort of get back on the horse, as we heard Zach Guthrie say early in the week, it's a nice time just to go away, to try and just get a few things flowing again. And it's not far off, to be honest. We've come up against 2 sides that have been pretty red hot. I think they're going to be thereabouts. Who knows this time of year? But I think they're going to be thereabouts come the end of the year. And for our guys, just keep building on what they're building on.
I'm interested in your take to 2:10 Sunday afternoon on the Gold Coast in March.
Yep.
Actually, it'll be April by then on the weekend. It'll be warm. How big an impact does that have?
Well, I think it was 37 if we went back last week when Melbourne Storm played up there during the day, and they weren't too flash hot about it. So for our guys, it will play a bit of a different card for them because they have trained in it all summer. Probably not as much as Gold Coast, but what the game gives you up there, it becomes slidey and slimy because of the sweat on the ball. And we've got to adapt to those conditions a little bit more. It's like you're playing a nighttime footy game at 2 o'clock in the day.
So expect lots and lots of mistakes, I would imagine, with that slippery ball. So therefore, keep coming back to the contest and cleaning up those outnumbers.
There's going to be mistakes anyway early in the year. Probably even more so now. Like if we're thinking that we're going to be playing that footy that we're playing towards the end of last year right now, it's just not right to expect that. That the common thread is that you're going to make lots of mistakes. Can you make a few less than the other side right now?
It's funny you say that. I was having a conversation with one of the players yesterday while I was at the club. And naturally in my head as a supporter, the freshest memory I have is preliminary final and grand final where you guys were just unbelievable. Some of the most scintillating footy. So you just automatically go, okay, keep playing like that.
Yeah.
But that was an entire year's build towards that quality of football. It doesn't just snap straight back to playing that level with the same level of touch, the same level of ability to handle a contest and get hit and still be able to execute under fatigue.
Well, that's it. And with a few different faces around too, in saying that. I mean, and a few guys that would like to be playing a little bit better. And put all those things together, and it's going to be slightly messy. It doesn't mean that it's a disaster. And the boys, I've just got great belief that that footy's not too far away.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it happens this Sunday afternoon, 2:10 at Metricon Stadium. Hey, I want to take a break because they've got a heap of questions from the fans, the listeners. Hopefully, a whole heap coming your way.
Okay,
you can get grilled with that. Before we do, though, hey, just a little heads up. The latest digital collectibles from AFL Mint, Relentless. It's called. Recognise and celebrates Geelong's 2022 premiership win. The Relentless collection features 22 classic moments starring the man alongside me, Joel Selwood. Why wouldn't it if you're using the word relentless? If you're not already signed up as a member, this could be the opportunity for you. For $99, you get a 2023 Geelong Cats digital membership, 8 relentless moments to add to your collection, and the chance to win a host of great prizes, including an Ask Me Anything session with Joel Selwood and tickets to the 2023 AFL Cats game. To find out more, head to aflmint.com.au/relentless. A man who is definitely relentless in your career. I'm sure you'll happily like the Ask Me Anything segment there, Sal.
Well, that's it, and it's all part of it. I didn't know that I was going to be a part of that when I started my career 16 years ago, but geez, it's come a long way, hey?
It certainly has. Let's take a break. We'll get to your questions next. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on To the Final Bell. I'm with Joel Selwood, which is a great honour to have the former skipper. It still feels funny saying the former skipper.
Especially after I took over after you. But we both loved the role, you could say that. Like captaining the side that we both barracked for as kids growing up, and we both had that dream of holding the cup, and we both got it at the end of the day.
It was pretty special, wasn't it? It's funny, so not to embarrass you, but my middle boy Henry is currently reading the Selwood Boys book.
Yes.
And last night was his first realisation that you were a Cat supporter growing up. He thinks that is the greatest thing on earth.
Oh, well, that's good. It means that he can have that dream like we had too,
Yes.
which I'm sure that he already had.
Yes, no, they love their Catters. They love you too. So they'll be very, very chuffed when I tell them that I was sitting next to you doing the podcast. Let's get to the questions. We really appreciate all of our listeners sending questions in. Please keep them coming on social media, email them in, however you do it. Keep them coming in because we love answering them. This first one is to Joel. Be kind here, Joel.
Always.
To Joel, what was one of Lingy's funniest / worst captaincy moments? That one's from Jake in Highton.
Oh, geez, you might have to help me out here. But I think that over the period of time, we literally, it was like clockwork for us with the side that we had. We had played 150 games altogether, that side. We didn't have a lot of change. Their free agency wasn't in yet. So we knew each other like the back of our hands. And, you know, that competitive nature was not only out on the field, but it was within the locker room.
And at training. Some of those training sessions were brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. But also the cricket matches within the, you know, the locker room, the foursquare and all that. You weren't a big fan of the foursquare, you know, that Stevie would, you know, use all his energy on throughout the week to be fit enough for game day. But to be honest, we just loved coming to work together, I reckon, more than anything else, that group.
And it's funny, lots made of the final speech to the players out on the ground when you circled up. Looking around the group, there was something special in when I had to deliver it, and it was you're there. Then there's Corey Enright over there. Then there's Joel Corey there, or there's James Kelly there, or there's Brad Ottens.
Yeah.
The belief that I got from looking around that group going, we're going to be okay. I don't need to go into much detail here. A couple of quick reinforcements of messages. I reckon the boys have got this one sorted.
Yeah. It was my favourite time when I would walk back to the huddle after the toss. And whether or not I should have felt it, but I just thought we had a chance in every game we possibly played because of that side that I was walking back to. And whether there was a player playing their debut game, or whether it be a milestone game. I used to love those ones probably the most.
Absolutely. Hopefully that one answers you there, Jake, that Joel said didn't have
really,
any
sorry,
worst
Jake,
captaincy moments.
He was very good.
No, there's none there, I don't think. This one's from Mel. How many players in recent history are more dangerous than Jeremy Cameron in their ability to single-handedly impact a game's results? Players in recent history, unfortunately, one comes to mind immediately, and that is Dusty Martin. Pre that, I think I'll embarrass you. I think within games in sort of that 2014, 15, 16, like your peak of peak years, you were able to do that with sheer willpower and skill and work rate and leadership.
Maybe not so much skill, but...
no, see, that's... Do you know, and I'm going to embarrass you more here, so bad luck, because you're... That's one thing that kind of every now and then gets to me where everyone's like, oh, he was so courageous, he was so hard. And yes, you were, and yes, you were. But don't move on from the fact that your skill and your running ability and your athletic was all there as well. It wasn't just, and when I say just, in inverted commas, just courage.
Yep.
It was phenomenal skill and phenomenal running capacity and athleticism as well.
Well, decision making maybe
and decision making
helps out a bit with that skill at different stages. But probably to answer the question a little bit, like I just feel that I was very fortunate over a period of time. I think that Tom Hawkins has taken a hold of many games that I've played in. Paddy's done the same. I think of how he can start games has been more exceptional than probably anyone that I've ever played with. and the impact that they can have.
And two guys going back a few more years, we're talking their peak powers, Gaz and then also Buddy Franklin. Where
no doubt.
It's funny, when you have total, I said when I look around the group and just complete faith in the guys I'm playing with, there was only momentary parts of games where I think that faith or trust or whatever it was, that belief in our group got stripped away. And it was early in a Hawthorn-Geelong game at the, again, peak of the rivalry. We were reigning premiers, and it was the following year. So I should have had total belief. And I reckon Buddy had kicked 2 in the first 5 or 6 minutes and set up another one or something like that. And I went back to the centre bounds going, we're going to lose by 100 points today because Buddy's going to kick 25 goals. He just had that aura of like, nobody's stopping him even though we've got one of the best defensive units in the entire competition.
Well, and especially through that period, they were exceptional games to be a part of because we just didn't know. We knew it was going to be close at the end of the day, but even if you stretched it out to 30 points, you knew you weren't safe, and you had to keep playing bold, brave footy.
Joel, this one's from running late. Late. I hope I've... running late. Gotcha. But it's Leight. Sorry about that one. Joel, who are the top 3 players you played with? You mentioned Paddy as one of those.
He is one of them. Why I say Paddy is because he had a period of footy for about 130 games, I reckon, where his top-class footy was like probably better than anyone's, probably that I've ever played with, which is a bit unfair because I played with a lot. And now I'm going to roll off a few different names.
You only got 2 more spots.
Well, Hawk's one of them, and 305 games with Hawk in the end. But to see what he's still doing now, and we put a lot of pressure on him as a kid too. He was a kid that we saw a lot of talent in as a junior, and we just wanted to get him to that stage where he was impacting games really quickly. And through that, being at nearly 200 centimetres, you have your growing pains. He had his back pains. He's had feet problems at different stages. But to be honest, what he's been able to do for the last 7-8 years, I don't know if there's been a better bang for buck player in the comp.
It's remarkable, isn't it? Remember that year where he did have that bad back, and all the chatter just started like, I think Hawkins might be done.
Trade him, get him out.
Yeah, and the games moved past him.
Yeah.
Like his record post 30 is unbelievable.
Yep, exactly. Gaz and Boris, probably 2 other that come to mind because Gaz, for what he was able to do, not only here but Gold Coast, being sort of a younger at that time, and him playing the footy that he did, and then Boris sort of just kept getting better and better, and he was a teammate that you could just lean on and rely on, and also played nearly 240 games with him.
My math isn't good, but that's 4 players, Joel.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was never very good at school, so to all the kids out there, hang in there.
And supposedly Boris is Ross Lyon's pet favourite.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because he was also a lot of the favourites around here too. He's a great people person, can be quiet but can be quite witty and clever too at the same time.
Yeah, obviously doing a good job at the Saints. This one's from Wiggle Thompson. I always struggle with the name, so all the GFs are great, but which one stands out? 07, 9, 11 or 22?
Well, they all stand out, and they were all, to be honest, loved every one of them. 22, I think the rebuild and, the formation of the side, and because it was probably the last one, and, I've probably got those memories of it a little bit clearer than the other ones. But I loved what that group was able to do last year, and deserved it. I've always sort of said that as I cringe because every other side thinks that they deserve it. But to be honest, the work that the boys put in over a period of time, I love. And to be honest, it builds for that next one now too, because guys that were a part of it, I'm talking Close and Myers and Stengel, and then you go Holmes and De Koning and all these ones, they've seen it at a young age. So they're going to be hungry to want to be able to lift that cup again.
It was a phenomenal year, wasn't it? I remember I took a group, my kids and a few of their mates up to the Saints game at Marvel Stadium, which wasn't a good game. We got overrun. And I remembered, I to that point in time, I'd been really, I reckon the Cats can win the flag. Watched that game, I'm like, oh, geez. No, we got outspread, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not trying to make you relive that game, but I doubted. To see the group just clearly have a poorish game there and then go, no, so much of what we're doing is right, fix up ABC, and we are still going to have this clear vision, clear belief, and a really strong unity as a group to then go on and not just win the flag, but absolutely dominate by the end of the year. That is just a beautiful evolution of a team to obviously achieve the ultimate.
And to be honest, in the past, we had been bad losers, and we would have let that probably collect us again and get us another stage. Where last year we decided we were going to do a little bit differently, and that was through the help of some good guidance of Cal and the other coaches are supporting that, and Chris himself. That wasn't part of the plan. Having 7 goals kicked against it, definitely not part of the plan, but we did play, 100 minutes of good footy that night, and we were pulled apart, and then we're like, oh, okay, just get that other bit right, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, well, you're certainly okay. It was magnificent. There's plenty for you. I'm loving this. Normally they're coming at me, Sel.
Yep.
Jeremy Lowe asks, Joel, underrated opponents still playing the game. Give us a couple of the most underrated opponents who are currently still running around.
I played against some pretty good players, and to be honest, where the game's gone to is this big collective defensive. So it's nicer to get off the chain these days, more so than the past. But back in the day, I saw Ed Curnow do a bit of a job on Cam Guthrie on the weekend. Yep. I found him really hard to play against because Ed was obviously really strong. He was diligent to his job, and he could run.
Yeah, seriously good runner, isn't he?
Yeah. So he was one. There was a number though. Over the journey, and the guys are sort of past now. I'm a little bit older, but Matt DeBoer was a similar case. Ben McGlynn was a tough one.
Oh yeah.
So I found those types that could just hang in there and have their mind on you the whole time. Pretty tough. But in saying that, the game has changed, and we still see a little bit of the tagging, which I like, but a lot of sides are going not so much for that method.
There we go, Jeremy. I hope that one answers it. Jay Tatum, 26. To both of us, what is the one lesson from football that you never imagined you'd learn?
Well, I probably just mentioned it, but you can be a good loser too, which... It's hard to hear.
Does that sum both of us up at all?
Well, I don't know, because I think that I learnt it right at the end of my career.
Yep.
And I think that it helped the group around me that I came through with at the end to take them to the next stage, because they, and you were the same, but we won a lot of games of footy, nearly probably 250 out of the 350 that I played. So learning to turn it around quick was something that we were okay with, but I think we took it to the next level by going, hey, we are going to lose occasionally. So pick it up and get on with it.
I think what I had to learn, Jay, was the softer, gentler side with leadership. And by that, I was always I think a good relationship person. Please correct me if I'm wrong in anything that I say. And had a really good, strong relationship with so many of the guys, the coaches, the staff, everything like that. But ultimately, I believed from a young age that leadership was you go out and train harder than everyone else, and you play to a level that just tries to bring everyone up to that level and encourage them and support them and do everything like that from a talk and a direction point of view. But then I had a level of impatience for those who didn't just do what either I was doing or you were doing or Boris or Joel Corey were doing, these incredibly self-motivated, self-driven, hard, relentless people. If you didn't do that, then I had a level of impatience. Like, well, just do it. I mean, why do I have to spend more time and more energy trying to gently bring you along here? So I used to get frustrated in my earlier leadership days, I then had to learn that, well, not everybody is exactly the same, and that there has to be a level of gently bringing someone along for that ride, as well as the ones who you can just sort of grab and go, hey, come on, we're on this ride together. It was, hey, we're going to do this little bit at a time. I had to learn that over the course of my career. And at times I did it well towards the end, but then even at times I was like, well, stuff him. If he doesn't want to be part of it, then why are we wasting energy talking about it? But I had to keep bringing myself
I think
back.
we're both in the same case. And that was a challenge with leadership, because the group that I walked into in 2007 was that. And it was easy to get on board with that, because if you weren't on board with it, you'd be out of the side. So definitely learnings through the whole journey.
I've got one more for you, and then we're going to finish up. Thank you to everyone who sent a question in. This one's from Sam Trelligan. Joel, what young Geelong player do you think has the skill and ability, and perhaps throw in drive there as well, to be the next so-called best or, top line player?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard a number of them, and we've seen a number of these boys over the last little period, but Max and Sam are going to be long-term Geelong players, and they're going to set some great standards. I look forward to seeing what Jai can do, and we hear lots from him, and I look forward to Jai being Jai Clark too, and just doing it his way. And I've heard whispers from the boys that when he gets his go, you look out, because you'll really enjoy watching him play. But then from there, I'm looking forward to seeing what this group's going to go on and keep doing. We found Tyson last year, and we'll find another one this year. And this side will keep building, and I look forward to what that will be.
Can't wait for it as well. Really appreciate it. All those questions that came in, keep sending them in. We'll get to them next week as well. So we better finish up. Huge game this week, Suns versus the Cats, Metricon Stadium. Is that what it's still called? Why is it Heritage Bank Stadium? There we go. I keep calling it Metricon, my bad. I wondered what the HBS stood for. Heritage Bank Stadium, 2:10 on Sunday afternoon. A nice warm one for the Cats to play in, but hopefully they can get their win account off to a good start on Sunday afternoon. Sal, thank you so much for filling in. You've been incredible.
No, I'm not sure about that.
No,
I've dusted it off anyway. If you need me again, I'm just down the road.
Really appreciate that. Hopefully we can get you back. Meg's about 3 weeks away, so maybe we'll get you back 1 or 2 more times.
Very good.
I'm being cheeky there. Give all of our best to Britt and also to little Joey, and
Beautiful.
Hopefully his sleeping just sorts itself out.
Yeah, we'll work that out eventually.
Very good. Thanks for your time. Thanks for everyone listening. I really appreciate it. We will be back next week, hopefully talking about a big Cats win.